Hey everybody, what is going on? HexLex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. So today we're going to take a look at the results for the March 2025 Duelist Cup, the top 100 breakdown here. So we actually did, in the middle of the season, we did our tier list for how well I thought each deck was going to do in the Duelist Cup. So as I mentioned before, I want to compare that to the actual results and see where we were right and where we were wrong, and overall just analyze the metagame as a whole. But before we get into it, first thing I gotta do real quick is thank you all, as we recently passed 19,000 subscribers, which is a number I really am still kind of reeling about. Never expected this kind of awesome growth when I first started the Master Duel channel, all the way back when the game first came out. Well, I already had the YouTube channel going, but started posting Master Duel content. Anyway, just wanted to thank you all so very much for your support. I really appreciate you all, and if you like the content and haven't considered subscribing, please do consider doing so, as we were very close to 20k, super close to our goal there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on into it. So, as we're looking at this pie chart, before we actually look at the list or compare it to what I thought was going to happen, I actually want to talk about this pie chart real quick, particularly the 36.0% representation of Snake Eye. It's important to note that this pie chart is not representative of your ranked ladder experience, right? Even if you're playing in Master Rank, even if you're playing in rating duels, this is probably not going to be 100% exact to, in fact, this is almost assuredly not going to be 100% exact to your actual ranked ladder experience. This is something that I wanted to really point out here. If we go over to Untapped, right, and we take a look at the meta tier list, the thing I really like about Untapped is that they take tens, if not hundreds of thousands of games and use that to automatically aggregate their data, which makes it, in my opinion, among the most accurate, out there available for a Master Duel. And yeah, we're very quickly seeing that if we look at Snake Eyes here, we're seeing 16.4% representation, less than half of what the, top 100 of the Duelist Cup would have you believe. And this is, of course, to be expected. The metagame, once you get to the top 100 players in the game, is going to look significantly different than what it's like for the rest of us. This is also a highly competitive event where people are bringing what they think is the most optimal deck. That is to say, I think a lot of people are going to really run away with this 36% number and be like, oh, this is so obviously apparent of how much Snake Eye is dominating ladder. When no, this is more representative of how Snake Eye is doing on ladder. Which I've noticed that, like, even if you go to the previous month, right, when, the stuff kind of first came out, Fiendsmith and Azamina, we're still only seeing about 16% representation for Snake Eye, which even compared to decks like Yubel in their prime is actually significantly lower. I have on screen the statistic for Yubel just shortly after it debuted in the meta, and that was at like 20%. So you saw more Yubel decks on its release than you're seeing Snake Eye now. Oh, and by the way, before you're like, but Hex, you're only looking at Master Rank. This isn't representative of all of, Master Duel. I actually did that on purpose, sort of in Snake Eye's favor, because if we actually include a bronze, you see the number falls dramatically, even lower, down to 12.6%. So yeah, you on ranked ladder are not seeing 36% Snake Eye games. I know it might feel that way, but I can assure you that if you're playing in like Platinum to Master, you're seeing less, much less than half of that actually. So anyway, so we have here among the top 100 decks for Master Duel, and sorry, I didn't mean to derail, but the whole reason I really wanted to point that out specifically is that I see a lot of misinformation get spread around with pie charts like this when it comes to people analyzing the metagame. And really, if you look beyond Snake Eye, it becomes very apparent very quickly that this pie chart is not representative of what ranked ladder is actually like, as I'm sure you're not running into 9.5% lab in your games, and I can guarantee you're not playing against Ritual Beast 6.1% of the time. This is something that I really wanted to point out, because I think this is the biggest obstacle when it comes to trying to have quality competitive discussion about the game, right? Is that people will run away with information and misinterpret it to fit their narrative of what they want to complain about the game, as opposed to having an honest discussion about what the game is really like. So again, I wanted to head that off right at the start. Anyway, now let's talk about how wrong I was when it came to my predictions. So looking over here, we have Snake Eye represented at 36.0%, White Forest following behind at 13.3%, followed by Tenpai at 10.8%, Lab at 9.5%, and then Ritual Beast at 6.1%, leaving 24.3% others. Here is a more exact breakdown here, and as Road of the King mentions in this little blurb right here, the reason you see stuff like 26.67% Snake Eye is that because players can run multiple decks in the Duelist Cup, some people use 2, some people even use 3. That's why you can get fractals of a deck, right? Like 0.33 Sky Striker Tenpai means that one person who got top 100 played Sky Striker Tenpai as one of their 3 decks. So again, that explains the percentile / decimals here. But yeah, I mean, what I find kind of interesting, right, is that Ritual Beast at 6.1% only still made up 4.5 decks. So as you can see, there are a lot of like one-off kind of stuff that did well here, and a lot more than I expected. Oh, here's one other thing I really like about Road of the King, and why I really prefer to look at deck lists on this site, is that if you click these hyperlinks here, they'll actually take you directly to social media channels of the players using these decks. I really like that they go the extra mile to do this. I think this is a lot more preferable than just slapping the list and the person's name on your site and then posting it for profit, right? I really like that, Road of the King goes the extra mile to be like, hey, go check out the player who actually, played this deck. I think that's really cool. All right, I want to take a look at some of the actual lists here. I'm not going to go break down all 100 of them, or, it's not actually 100 because they don't have everybody's, but you know what I mean. But I did want to look at some of the lists and see if we could see some emerging trends in, like, the deck building going on here. A lot of Droll and Lockbirds. You're going to see quite a bit of Drolls. I'm also noticing a significant lack of Valor and Imperm, which when it comes to my personal deck building, I definitely need to start working those cards out of my builds. I include them very reflexively, and as we're about to see, there's going to be almost none of those in, especially a lot of the Snake Eye decks here. Oh, and of course, yeah, we got to compare it to our tier list as well, right? Let's do that before we start looking at individual deck lists. So I got to talk about how wrong I was. So obviously, I was right about Snake Eye, which I don't think is a bold prediction. Tenpai, I was pretty convinced was going to be the second most played deck, with White Forest behind it as third. It kind of ended up being the other way around. But Yubel was the thing that I was absolutely most wrong about. I thought that Yubel would still have like at least a decent bit of representation, but if we actually look over here, I literally don't see any at all. Like, I'm like scanning here. Snake Eye Tenpai Lab. Yubel is actually just not represented in the top 100 of the Duelist Cup at all. Which, by the way, is another reason this pie chart is not indicative of actual Ranked Ladder meta. Naturally, on Ranked Ladder, there is more than 0% Yubel. I don't think I need to explain that, but yeah, that's wild. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're gonna play a long-form style combo deck in this kind of competitive environment, you might as well just play the best one, right? Like Snake Eye, because that's the thing about Yubel, right? Yubel suffers from multiple weaknesses that Snake Eye also used to suffer in previous builds that it currently doesn't, with, Millennium and Fiendsmith and sometimes Azamina. I think we're going to see in the majority of these lists that these are going to be Millennium Fiendsmith Snake Eye lists, not Azamina, which makes sense. I think the Millennium build is definitely much better. But yeah, the 0% Yubel is just absolutely wild. But like I was about to say, it makes sense because the weaknesses that Yubel has that other decks like Snake Eye and White Forest don't necessarily, is that Yubel is susceptible to hand traps more so than other long-form combo decks in this meta. Yubel also runs more bricks. I think Yubel definitely has more cards that you would typically rather not open. Extenders that are a little more situational, as opposed to something like Millennium Snake Eye, right? Where, like, if you're opening multiple engine cards in Millennium Snake Eye, it's going to be like Sang Engine and Engraver and Snake Eye Ash, which can all lead you to full combo in and of themselves, right? With Yubel, if you're opening multiple engine pieces, it's going to be like Nightmare Throne and then like Pain and Gates or something like that, stuff that you would already search off your combo line. It doesn't really help you as much to open as, you know, additional starters would. Again, the idea that Yubel can't play through hand traps quite as well as a result of that as decks like Snake Eye and White Forest. So I knew that was a factor going in, but I super underestimated just how debilitating it would be for Yubel. So I was definitely wrong about that. I think Voiceless I was wrong about as well. That was another thing that was very surprising to me, to see 0 Voiceless Voice. This is a deck that has very recently enjoyed competitive success in Master Duel, benefits from playing Fiendsmith and Beatrice, because you can use Elf to revive Diviner, I think it is, and then you dump Trias or whatever, and then you can start getting your plays going. Something like that. I don't actually play Voiceless, so I don't know off the top of my head, but... And then, it wouldn't be Trias, right? It'd be something else. Anyway, and then... What was the other one? Yeah, so Kashtira as well is another one I severely underestimated. Although we do see Kashtira and Voiceless Voice even in the same deck right here. So they did get at least a little bit of representation. The thing that I was really... In the comments were saying that I was overestimating Cash, and looking back I definitely did. I thought that Kashtira using 7th Tachyon to search Fossil Dyna was going to be more of a thing in this Duelist Cup. Yeah, I don't know. I just figured that was a strategy that was going to see more play, and it just didn't. Maybe that strategy isn't as, like... I mean, obviously, it's not like, you know, I thought that was going to be an unbreakable board to go Kashtira combo and then add a Fossil Dyna, but it didn't end up being as strong as I thought it would be. Lab, I definitely underestimated. As we see here, it is the 4th most represented deck, and I definitely was not anticipating that. I don't know. I feel like for the most part, I definitely underestimated Ritual Beast too, as you can see here. I feel like for the most part, my 1 or 2 in Top Cut predictions were accurate. Branded, I overestimated. Tier Limit, I overestimated. Looking back here, I just had too many decks in the second tier slot. Realistically, you know, there should have been like 3, maybe 4 decks in this category, not 7, but... Yeah, Dinomorphia, I did not expect to be one of the forerunners up to like the upper part of the others category. Stun, I'm not 100% surprised to see, but anyway. Yeah, I want to like very quickly kind of scroll through these lists and just kind of take a peek at them and see if I notice any interesting deck building trends here. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of Drolls and not a lot of Veilers and Imperms, which makes sense. So this person also played, the person who got first here played Kashtira, Millennium Fiends, Snake Eye, and Ritual Beast. I'll take a moment to look at the first place list in particular. A lot of Nibs, a lot more Nibirs than I expected. One thing that I've seen people do, and this is a really, like, honestly ingenious kind of piece of innovation in this format, is playing Nibiru, and then when you're playing against Snake Eye, not using it on their turn, but holding it for your turn, because the idea is that Snake Eye will summon a lot during your turn. That might be another deck, maybe I'm misremembering that, but I've heard people talk about doing that lately, and I'm like, that's genius. That's awesome. And just goes to show that, like, you know, innovation is constantly happening in this game, especially at the top levels of play. You're seeing it a lot. And it might not necessarily be, even when you think innovation, you might think like, oh, this person's playing some crazy hidden tech from Legends of Blue Eyes that nobody remembers. But it's like, it's very often not about that and more just about how well you use your resources. I want to make a video, it might even be tomorrow, talking about how much I really love Snake Eye for how well it tests your ability to use your resources, which is a skill that not a lot of players talk about. I think that's because it's a skill that really only comes up in like the higher levels of competitive play. I know when I played the Challenger Cups, when they had those in North America, please bring those back, Konami, there was a lot of very challenging gameplay between Snake Eye mirrors that happened in, like, you know, the top cuts that I played. So yeah, I want to make a video about that. Got Ritual Beast here. A lot of triple tacks I'm noticing as well. A lot of decks playing at least one, if not, like, yeah, multiple triple tactics talent. Which I guess does kind of make sense in this meta. The Steal a Monster effect is a very, very powerful board breaker. Being able to take, like, their Appaloosa or something. Yeah, Appaloosa, especially if it's the mirror. The second place person was on grass branded, so, you know, even if branded didn't have like a ton of results, you know, second place is still pretty good. Tempai, playing the Blaster and Gold Sarks. I expect to see more of those moving forward for sure. Runic Stun with multiple Cyberjar. It's funny. Ah, multiple variants of Runic Stun even. Yeah, I'm going to kind of go a little bit more quickly through these so that we're not spending too much time. Kashira getting 6th place is pretty impressive. Not playing 7th Tachyon or Fossil Data either. Again, I just really overestimated that personally, and just kind of assumed that that would be the way to go, but didn't end up being the case. Yeah, this person on Drolls, no Valor, no Imperm, 3 Triple Tactics talents, triple tack. Oh, Gamma! You're gonna see a lot of Gamma Driver in these lists too, which is something that I had been thinking about for a little bit recently, is that like, I feel like Gamma being limited caused it to drop off a lot harder than it should have, and yeah, we're already seeing another Gamma here in the top 10, so I would definitely expect to see more Gammas and Drivers moving forward. I'm going to try this in Snake Eye moving forward. And it's funny how many different people you're seeing undertaking such similar innovations, right? Like if you look at this, or hang on, I just saw one here. Did I not just see a list with multiple nibs? No, I didn't. I saw one with 1 nib. But nib is a card that I haven't been including, and a lot of people haven't lately for its perceived low value in the meta. But again, maybe we're just not using it correctly. Also, it looks like they only showed 10 decks, which is good. I was not trying to look at all 100 necessarily, all in one video. But the triple tax too. Like, it's cool how many different people in the upper bracket you see making such similar innovations, right? The Gammas, again, not something you typically see. Again, triple tack, not something you typically see. When I was clicking through the list earlier, again, I saw multiple nibs in a few decks, including the first place deck, which is not something that you typically see. And like I said, it just goes to show that even if you kind of feel like, oh, everything's Snake Eye, which, as we talked about, it's not quite 36% on actual ranked ladder. Even if you feel that way, it's like there is still innovation happening within that deck, which I think is really, really cool. Yeah, so got the Runic Stun decks, Grass Branded. Again, for Branded to not have a large quantity of results, but for them both to be within, you know, the top 10, I think is quite impressive. Millennium Cash Snake Eye, Millennium Cash Snake Eye. Yeah, I noticed that some lists are playing Temple and some are playing Chase. There's pros and cons to both for sure. Also, multiple Millennium cards beyond just 3 Sengenjin, 1 Golem, 1 Temple. We've seen this in Rating Duel top cut decks as well, where they'll be on like multiple Golems and or multiple Temple as well as 3 Sengenjin, which makes sense. You know, you just want more of your starters, and the Millennium Engine is a great way to start your plays off. Very non-committal, but still very high threatening. Is that Card Trader? In the Runic Stun? That's wild. Alright. I think that's going to go ahead and do it for now. I've had fun looking at these lists and talking about the metagame here and breaking that all down for you. So, yeah, like I said before, I was definitely wrong about a lot of this. And was I wrong about anything that wouldn't make top 100? No, none of these decks were actually in top 100. But yeah, I really like going back and seeing how accurate my predictions were. If you like this style of video, definitely feel free to let me know in the comments, and I will gladly do more of this in the future. But yeah, thank you again so very much. Appreciate y'all. Let's move on to our... Oh, before we move on to our outro, like I said up top, I just gotta thank you all again so very much for the support, for subscribing, and if you're watching right now still, for watching all the way to the end of the video, which, not just for me, but for like every YouTube channel, especially smaller ones, that is like one of the best ways you can support. So I really do, like I said, want to stop and appreciate and thank each and every one of you. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, you're still listening right now, you probably like the content, and we're so close to 20K. If you could help us out, I would super appreciate it. But even if you don't, again, I just appreciate you being here at the end of the video. Anyway, that's going to do it. Like I said, let us move on to the outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.